a video for ICT 401-601 IT Policy and Audit, and it's going to give you an overview of the COBIT 5 framework in which you will be utilizing for your group project. There's a PDF called the Introduction and Methodology to COBIT Framework, which is available on the group page, which is the best reference for you to utilize for your group project. COBIT governance is quite extensive, and in this course we're going to get into bits and pieces of COBIT to give you some hands-on experience with it. For small to medium business-sized companies, they may not have the resources to implement a full COBIT governance structure. So having the ability to understand what COBIT is and be able to bring some of these principles and governance methodologies will assist the company in ensuring that they are able to develop policies, processes, and controls in order to stay in compliance. As you read in your textbook, COBIT has 6 governance system principles. It needs to provide stakeholder value, it needs to be a holistic approach, it needs to be a dynamic governance system, there needs to be governance distinct from management, it needs to be tailored to the enterprise needs, and it needs to be an end-to-end governance system. It also needs to be based on a conceptual model. It needs to be open and flexible, as companies are very different from one another, and it needs to align to major standards, such as ITIL, ISO, all of the legal and regulatory requirements that are out there as well. What we'll be using for the definition of your policies, processes, and controls is the 5 domains of COBIT. Under governance, there's an evaluate, direct, and monitor. Under management, there's an align, plan, and organize, a build, acquire, and implement, a deliver, service, and support, and a monitor, evaluate, and assess domain. In the evaluate, direct, and monitor domain, the governing body evaluates strategic options, directs senior management on the chosen strategy, options, and monitors the achievement of the strategy. Under the management objectives, the align, plan, and organize addresses the overall organization, strategy, and supporting activities for information technology. The build, acquire, and implement treats the definition, acquisition, and implementation of information and technology solutions and their integrations in business processes. The deliver, service, and support addresses the operational delivery and support of information technology services, including security. And the monitor, evaluate, and assess addresses performance monitoring and conformance of information technology with internal performance targets, internal control objectives, and external requirements. These will be discussed in more detail throughout this video. Under these domains, there are 40 governance and management objectives. Within the Introduction and Methodology PDF document, they are described in Chapter 5 in greater detail. You'll be able to see the reference number, the name, and then the purpose for each one of these. You'll be able to utilize these as you build out your policies, processes, and controls for your group project. Evaluate, direct, and monitor under the governance domain has 5 objectives under it, which again in that PDF document you'll be able to find the definitions for those 5 objectives. The align, plan, and organize has 14 objectives, and again within the PDF document you'll be able to find the definition and purpose of all 14 of those align, plan, and organize objectives. You'll see that this is where a lot of the managed quality, the risk, the security, data, etc. falls under. For build, acquire, and implement, there are 11 objectives, and again you'll be able to find the definitions for those 11 managed objectives in the PDF document. For deliver, services, and support, there are 6 objectives, and again those are also listed out in the PDF document. And then for monitor, evaluate, and assess, there are 4, and those are also listed out here. And you can see through these objectives a lot of the security, change management, data privacy, managing assets, managing security are all called out in here. What you'll be doing in your group project is when you are writing your policy, process, and control, you'll be tying it back to one of these objectives, which again ties back to one of these 5 COBIT domains. It should also be understood, COBIT recognizes many components of a governance system. To satisfy those governance and management objectives we just went through, each enterprise needs to establish, tailor, and sustain a governance system built from a number of components. Components are factors that individually and collectively contribute to the good operations of the enterprise governance system over information technology. These components interact with each other, resulting in a holistic governance system for information technology. And you can see the different types of components that need to be considered. You have processes, which describe an organized set of practices and activities to achieve certain objectives and produce a set of outputs that support achievement of overall IT-related goals. There's the organizational structure, which is the key decision-making entity in the enterprise. You have principles, policies, and procedures, which translate desired behavior into practical guidance for day-to-day management. You have the information, which is pervasive throughout an organization and includes all information produced and used by the enterprise. You have culture, ethics, and behavior of individuals and of the enterprise, and are often underestimated as factors in the success of governance and management activities. You have people skills and competencies that are required for good decision-making, execution of corrective action, and successful completion of all activities. And then you have services, infrastructure, and applications, which include the infrastructure, technology, and applications that provide the enterprise with the governance system for information technology processing. So as you're developing your policies, process, and procedures, these are all items that should be factored in. COBIT also covers things to consider when designing. So you have things such as enterprise strategy, which there's an example in the PDF of what an enterprise strategy looks like. Is it growth and acquisition? Is it cost leadership? It also takes into consideration enterprise goals, which again, the PDF has some great examples of different enterprise goals. It should also take into account risk profiles. So software failures, hardware incidents, these are all items that you can utilize in your risk analysis as well. Acts of nature, environmental, data, and information management. It should also consider IT-related issues, frustrations between different IT groups, between business departments in IT, duplication or overlap between various initiatives, excessive high cost of IT, etc. These are all factors that need to play into that. You also need to understand how you define your threat landscape. Is the threat normal? Is it high? These are just examples. You need to understand the compliance requirements that the enterprise is subject to and how you classify those. Are they low compliance, normal compliance items, or high compliance areas? Understanding the role of IT. Are they seen as support? Are they seen as a driver for innovating business processes and services? Or is it strategic? How is your IT sourced? Is it outsourced? Is it insourced? Is it a hybrid? You also need to understand the IT implementation methodologies. Are you going to use agile, traditional, hybrid? Also, from technology adoption, is the company a first mover? Are they a follower? Are they a slow adopter to new technologies? And then lastly but not least, what's the size of the enterprise? Is it a large enterprise or a small to medium-sized enterprise? So these are all things that you need to consider when developing your policies, processes, and procedures for your company and putting that governance structure in place. COBIT also has an image called Goals Cascade, which is important for you to understand when you're working on your group project. There are going to be stakeholder drivers and needs that are going to cascade into enterprise goals, which are going to cascade into alignment goals to ensure that the enterprise goals and the stakeholder drivers and needs are being met. And this is where that governance and management objectives, those 40 that we went through, outlined here, are going to become a factor, and why we have policies, processes, and controls to ensure that we're meeting all of these goals that are outlined. And again, the PDF for the introduction and methodology has some great examples in here of enterprise goals and alignment goals that you can utilize, again, as guides for your business case. So with this course, we're not going to be utilizing the entire COBIT framework and structure. However, as mentioned, we are going to be utilizing the framework in a way where you do get hands-on experience with the COBIT methodology so that you are gaining that understanding of why we have governance and management objectives, why we have policies, processes, and procedures, and how the COBIT framework and methodology can help you implement some of those in your career.